Okay. Interesting breakdown there. To me, I think you're wrong with Doty about kind of a test. And I think because he's a pretty positive, energetic guy, that it'll be easy for us to believe he's going to bounce back relatively quickly. Assuming that's where the prognosis is in the whole thing. But you're right, that is a test of leadership in a way. As you were talking about the other guys, I'm with you on those words. To me, it's how you say that that's the most important part of being a good teammate, right? We all know that all players everywhere want to play. But then I feel like we get a feeling when we see someone talk about it that they're either a good teammate or not. When you talk about that, yeah, I came here to play, but right now I understand my situation and we're battling out and it's good competition. And if you're doing it with positive energy and you can tell there's mutual respect for the player that you're dealing with. Was it Tate Martell? I guess what was it?
Declared himself the starter.
In his text exchange, I think he had with somebody calling the guy he's playing with as a straight clown show or something like that. So let's not act like these things don't happen where you get the politically correct media comments and then behind those doors there are serious issues within position groups, especially the quarterback group, where the egos are the biggest. It's the only position, I guess you got kicker, right? Where you get one person, one guy gets all the playing time. And you're looked on as the leader of the team. You're looked at immediately as the leader of the team. Most important position in sports. So I think I'm more interested in how these guys talk than what they say. And that's a big part of the preseason camp speak. I think that was a big part of our conversation yesterday, talking about Shane Beamer and what he had to say on Saturday after the scrimmage and addressing the doom and gloom and being very defiant and delivering a strong message. And it was strong leadership, and I think near unanimous approval from Gamecock football fans, like it has been since he's been hired when you've heard public comments from Shane Beamer. Now, how much that translates to success on the field, especially in 2021, especially after dealing with an injury to your starting quarterback, none of us know. Bill was filling in for Heath Klein last night. We'll be doing it today and tomorrow as well. He had on a guy who covers East Carolina day in and day out, and I found it fascinating, Patrick, that he was talking about, yeah, they could 7-8 games, that could happen, but they could also go 0-3 in non-conference. They only won 3 conference games last year, and it just reminds me that near every single college football program right now, looking at the schedule, and you can look at it multiple ways. There are a lot of games that can go either way if you talk yourself into a certain scenario. East Carolina being one of those. South Carolina certainly being one of those. And then, like I mentioned, these preseason top 25 teams in a more favorable place, and continues to boggle my mind. Coastal Carolina, Louisiana make the AP top 25, as well as the coaches poll here in 2021 college football. To me, something I never thought I would see. So for those worried about the doom and gloom of the haves separating from the have-nots and continuing to create a massive gap, I refer you to at least the preseason top 25 poll, which is basically a reflection of the end of the season 2020 poll, where Coastal Carolina and Louisiana earned a lot of respect, and that's why both of their head coaches rumored to be in the mix for Carolina's coaching search that ultimately ended up in Shane Beamer running the show. 803-404-6100. Would love for you to join our show. You can call or text, join in on the program. We see you guys on the text line this morning. Some more nicknames that probably aren't worth repeating. Washington Spud's probably going to really. I mean, how does. We got one texter who just mentioned purple Doritos are the best on Friday morning, and now He's going to go with the Washington Purple Doritos. How did the Purple Doritos come up on the show on Friday? I missed one day, and you guys are talking about Purple Doritos on the text. Just the texter.
I don't think we talked about Purple Doritos.
Or if you blacked out and you don't want to remember it, I'm okay with that too. DC, LeVar, Chris, David, all up early with us either on YouTube or Facebook Live. The video stream up and rolling, sponsored by Buford Lending. You can also catch us on Twitter. The station handles at 1075 The Game. Patrick is pondering Purple Doritos, so you know we're off the start of it.
I would love for someone to one of our 3-hour listeners. Can you remind me if Bill and I talked about chips? I don't remember. I don't remember talking about chips. Jen, did we?
Well, you said one of our 3-hour listeners.
Yeah. Somebody on the live stream asked to remember if we actually did it. I think I'd remember a chip conversation, though. Yeah. Well, I have another food conversation for today, potentially. I'm about to retweet something that made me want to throw up.
Worst tease ever. DC's with you. He says he doesn't remember any Purple Dorito chip. We'll try to solve the Purple Dorito mystery as we roll on this morning. Time for our first break. Glad you're a part of the show. It's the early game. It's 1075. Yeah, you'd be surprised, Chris. You would be surprised. I think everybody wants to be a starter until they see what level of commitment that takes. You got to remember, man, these guys, especially the ones that have just been recruited, have been told that they are the greatest for so long. And then never been around a big-time college football program. I think it can be just startling. The difference in intensity and expectation from the coaching staff. Morning, Anthony.
Did you see the food at SoFi Stadium?
No, in LA, you're talking about the Rams?
Yeah. Brutal. I just retweeted. Apparently, there were a lot of complaints. This picture kind of went viral yesterday. It's unreal. Yep. It's 15. They have a $15 slice of pizza that looks worse than the pizza you'd get at like the elementary school lunch line.
First of all, we all know the square pizza at school was the best. Yeah, Chris, he's not giving us much there. He's not going to like whatever comes out, is what I've got. So I thought this is the opposite of every other stadium that's been opening up, right? They've gone with the ridiculous, like, hey, we're going to have sushi and all kinds of things that you would never associate with a game. And then this is brutal. A picture of the hot dog.
It's horrific. It's absolutely horrific. And I've never – it's probably would have been a good conversation for Bill to be around because I've never had like a fancy, really food at a stadium other than at Orioles games. I get Old Bay, go to the Old Bay stand. But I almost always just, if I need to eat at a stadium, I'll just go get fries or chicken tenders or something. And it's just too expensive. But are any SEC schools known to have certain foods that are really good? Because I don't even know.
No. I think it's all about tailgating the SEC, man.
Yeah. There's still 100,000 people in the stadiums.
Yeah, I think the day that happens is the day that I will not recognize that football.
Well, it doesn't have to be fancy necessarily. I mean, I know that there's lots of like donut burgers and things like that, or just like a.
No, it's outside is where that's happening. It's
No, I
happening.
mean, in baseball stadiums, there's plenty of like.
Yeah, but baseball's a different. It's a slow game, man. And Travis, I've only been there a couple of times, and only because my wife's aunt and uncle live there, so I don't have much for you on the Outer Banks. Patrick's a big fan of the show, apparently.
No. Craig is.
Yeah,
I think we
so
had a couple minutes, so they were.
Craig will be in. Okay, Chris likes the Carolina dog at the baseball stadium. I had, what did I have there? It was good. I had to eat, and I was surprised that they had it. It was a steak kebab at the
Like
at Founders Park. Really good.
Yeah, the chicken on a stick guy's there, right? Isn't that a
Yep.
popular thing there? Yeah.
DC. Rewatch the Capital One Bowl. Connor Shaw and Bruce Ellington going nuts on offense, and Clowney playing D.
Now that the Olympics are over, it might be fun to start watching full reruns of games.
I just can't do that. Bill.
I mean, I can't do it either, but if I'm only half paying attention to it while I do a show, then it's fine. I can't sit down and just watch a game and be entertained by something that I know what happened. Although I did watch the Ohio State versus Florida national championship in like a 20-minute cut up maybe a week or two ago. The one 2005. 2007. You're muted.
That reminds me of you see the Yahoo article on Spurrier's new restaurant?
No.
Check that out. Yep. Not what I expected.
Uses memorabilia. Where are the South Carolina helmets? Where are they?
Zero skills. That's where I'm at in the kitchen. And yet it still looks like I could have given you a better presentation than what you just tweeted out, sir. @_ Patrick Perrette, where you can see Patrick retweeted some food. Was that the Rams preseason game over the weekend?
Rams Chargers, yeah.
Rams Chargers. So this is, aren't they both sharing the stadium?
Yeah.
So the brand new, basically $1 billion stadium.
5.5 billion. 5.5 billion. 5.5 billion. 5.5 billion. It's the most expensive stadium in the world.
Oh. So obviously the stadium's ridiculous. It's not the first time we've seen the stadium, but this is the first time that I've seen a picture of the food served at the stadium. And man, I mean, I can appreciate that there is, there are people there, Patrick, is to stage food pictures, right?
Mhm.
And they do weird tricks, some kind of glue or like varnish or stuff to really make the food look a lot better than it looks in real life, or just to come off well, to read well. I think they might call it on. You know about this, right?
Yeah, I've watched
These are
videos on it. What
not
all the
next.
different tricks? Like they always make fast food burgers look perfectly layered, and everything just sits
Right.
perfectly on top of each other. And then you order it, and it's in a wrapper, and it's all smushed down because they stick a toothpick inside the middle and have everything kind of balanced on the toothpick to make it more photogenic.
In the picture, gotcha.
Yeah, in
So
the picture.
tricks, a toothpick in a burger to make sure it looks exactly upright or layered perfectly. Trying to think of some other tricks
I
that.
think they also put a cold piece of cheese on like a cold burger and just kind of I've seen them like spray it with a torch so that it like melts around in the corners and looks really nice.
Right.
Yeah, I remember
Like
learning that in
glue.
school that in black and white days they would have to eat glue in the shots and then spit it out because the milk would look weird on a black and white camera.
Huh. What I learned from a black and white perspective, the movie Psycho, I guess I went to Universal Studios, and I think that was part of the deal, that they used like chocolate sauce for the blood in Psycho. So you're like going down the drain in the shower or something. That always stuck with me for some reason. Maybe I was a little too young to learn that. Maybe I shouldn't have gone to that Psycho part of it.
It turned out okay, I guess.
My point in all this was simply that those pictures you're showing are pretty shocking. But you mentioned about SEC football and SEC stadiums, and what about the food and the whole thing? It's such a different environment because all the emphasis to food and drink typically happens before the game, pregame, or if you're doing a noon game, maybe a little bit after. But it's all kind of on the individual as opposed to, and hey, we're going to go to the football stadium today. I'll just get some food there. Maybe if you're not interested at all, or you just are looking for something to get you from one meal to the next, you'll say that. But I don't know anybody, Patrick, who plans their day around football stadium food for an SEC game. It's always tailgating, or possibly maybe a specific restaurant in that college town. A lot of times that the restaurant routine is done the night before, part of the weekend festivities.
Yeah.
Is one of the best things for me about our location, where we are downtown Columbia, and then I worked basically 2 buildings over, right across from the State House at ABC Columbia for forever. But on game day Fridays, especially SEC weekends, there is an energy around Columbia right there, because you can tell the hotels are picking up. The students are a little bit more excited than usual. There are flags flying in town. The vista is right down the hill, and it's hopping pretty good from the restaurant standpoint. There's just an energy in the city that you don't get quite like that. It's hard to explain, but if you've ever been just walking around part of a notable college football weekend, I think you understand what I'm saying. I bring this up too because you tweeted the picture of the food, but also recently read an article. Yahoo is where it's at. Did you look it up real quick, Patrick? Easy to find.
Yeah, I did.
Search Yahoo and Steve Spurrier. Article on Steve Spurrier's new restaurant opening up in Gainesville, and I didn't realize it was going to be basically his personal museum. It is the Gridiron Grill, I think it's being billed as, but it's already going to be part of coaches' shows down there in Gainesville, and ESPN has already rented it out, I think, when Alabama is going to come to town later, I believe the article said. So it's already a notable spot, and it looks really interesting. I'm just wondering if it's a place that Gamecock fans would want to make part of a trip to a weekend in Gainesville. Because your first question was what, Patrick?
Well, I was looking at pictures, and he's standing in front of a wall of helmets. And, I mean, I see an old Redskins helmet. I see the Apollos helmet. And I see a ton of Florida helmets, but I don't see a South Carolina helmet on the wall of helmets.
And I think that wall is to represent all the teams that he coached or played for. So, like the Orlando Apollos one, obviously, coaching. He's got a Duke. Can you see a Duke one in there?
Yep, I can see a Duke one. Yep.
I would think there's a South Carolina one in there. Just might not be able to see it.
Yeah, you'd have to think so. I mean, I read the article and it mentions all of his rings that he's got, and he's got the 2010 division championship ring apparently, alongside what his 14 championship rings, including Duke's ACC title and South Carolina's 2010 SEC Conference Eastern Division Championship, and his latest one from the Orlando Apollos.
Anonymous texter just hit us up on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. Yes, as a freshman living in the towers, I knew it was time when I would see opposing flags on cars driving down blocks.
For me, it was always the RVs that were parked down in that big RV lot down in the corner of Bluff and Rosewood. Yeah.
That just
Shop Road and Rosewood, yeah.
Right, that just signaled to you football weekend.
Yep.
And isn't that energy unlike anything else? I mean, to me,
sure.
it's something you can feel, but it's difficult to describe. And I find it very interesting that it looks like Steve Spurrier, who kind of admitted that he didn't do much in the planning stage of this restaurant. He basically just had a bunch of stuff, and I guess it was his daughter who kind of encouraged him to open up a restaurant like this. Probably a large part of it just somewhere to put his stuff. And so I didn't know that that's what the Spurrier restaurant was going to be. It makes sense. The part that I saw in the article on Yahoo again is that the part of the wallpaper, I guess, they ended up making it into wallpaper. Some of the ball plays that he's drawn up, and especially some notable ones in Florida football history are up and kind of all over the restaurant. To me, that would be a reason to go check this thing out. Patrick, what do you think? You feel like you would make it part of a Gainesville road trip, or not necessarily? This might be more of a old guy thing.
Yeah, I was wondering how successful a place like this would be, because I would go one time. I don't think it would be like every time I go, every other year I'm going to go to the Florida game and I'm going to go to Spurrier's restaurant. I would want to go one time, check it out, and then just keep it moving. But it does seem like they have kind of a good plan going for this, because it is going to be the home of Mike White and Dan Mullen's like radio show or weekly radio hits or whatever they're doing, and there's a podcast room. So I know that has been like a pretty popular thing, is doing live podcasts or live radio at the restaurants, and that can be a reason to bring repeat crowds. So it does feel like he's thought this thing out, and it's gonna probably go well, but I would not be interested in going more than once.
To me, this is classic Spurrier in a lot of ways. He comes off in the article as saying, yeah, he sat in on some meetings, tweaked some ideas, but there are a lot of consultants involved. You got a lot of people who have, and they visited a bunch of other similar type restaurants, I guess, with big time notable names kind of out in front and headlining, and then I guess pick and choose what they wanted to use from all of those places. And now it's right there in Gainesville. So who was asking on the live chat there, Chris, where at in Florida? Right in Gainesville is where Spurrier's new restaurant is, a Gridiron Grill that is recently opened and is basically Steve Spurrier's personal museum, which to me, there's two trains of thought that when I hear that, oh, that's pretty cool, I guess, for all your stuff, but it's also, man, that's a big ego trip. And I've never thought of Steve Spurrier as a restaurateur, like a guy who says, hey, come on in. We want you guys to have a great time, eat and drink with us. I want to shake hands and tell you some stories and the whole thing. He's just never really been that guy. And my favorite part of the Yahoo article, my second favorite part. No, I'm going to put this as my first favorite part. The second favorite was the drawing of the ball plays and the whole thing. But I'm imagining the interaction between the photographer and Steve Spurrier himself for some of these pictures, because they have Spurrier standing in front of some of his memorabilia and clearly posing, and he's just obviously uncomfortable. He's never been that guy, and I really kind of appreciated that about him, just how to me it made him a lot more human than the head ball coach coming in and the genius of college football that I just knew him by reputation before he was in Columbia for as long as he was. Just I'm sure the comments he had to say or just the body language is classic Spurrier standing in front of these things.
Yep. But I do like the picture of all of his old plays right above the urinals, so you can just read his chicken scratch football plays, ball plays while you're. The picture is only of urinals. I mean, maybe they have them on the back of the doors in the stalls. I don't know.
Anonymous texter, it's ironic because Spurrier hated the public gathering aspect of it all. And I guess maybe the rooftop bar has a stool with the HBC and Jerry's name on it. I'm guessing the stools will go pretty.
The name of the rooftop bar?
Yeah, what was it? Was it Visors?
Yeah, Visors, yeah.
Okay. So, interesting in a lot of different ways, I think. My question to you, I guess, as a Gamecock fan, you're planning on making that trip. Well, you're talking about, Patrick, doing it once. Well, I think it seems like one of the strategies here is to make it attractive to Florida fans specifically, to make it part of their weekend. And man, you start doing the math when you have 80,000 people coming in for a weekend. You don't have to have that many people doing it on a routine basis to make a bunch of money back. I think I also saw in that article $12 million was the tag to get this restaurant up and running, which is a significant investment when you're talking about a football stadium like SoFi. You're really telling me it's $5.5 billion? I'm gonna have to check
that. I looked it up because I wanted to say how expensive is this stadium. And yeah, $5.5 billion.
And the pictures you tweeted out of their food over the weekend. I mean, this is like a hoagie roll, sub roll, whatever you want to call it, a piece of meat, and then like 2 pieces of American cheese and 4 pickles on it. And that looks like it's it.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like I can make this sandwich. And again, I have 0 kitchen skills. 0.
You could make that sandwich in 2 minutes.
You know, I think that Bill's not doing the show today, and for Heath this afternoon, he probably would have started to cook breakfast already.
Probably would have. But yeah, confirming it's $5.5 billion, more than twice as expensive as the second most expensive stadium in the world, which was MetLife.
Josh weighed in on the Facebook live stream, just saying good morning. Glad you guys are a part of the show. However you're doing it, whether you're checking us out on the video stream, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, or you're listening on your FM dial, the app, stream, however you're doing it. Thanks for making us a part of your Tuesday routine. Again, all the notable names involved in the Gamecock quarterback situation, let's call it, the evolution, I guess, right now of preseason practice, where Luke Doty is out and questionable, is out of practice, I should say, right now, questionable for the season opener. They're going to be talking a little later on today. We'll continue to talk about it as well. Would love to hear from you at 803-404-6100. It's the early game. It's 107.5 The Game. I'm not sure if this is something I should be proud of or ashamed of. It might mean that I'm just getting older, that I appreciate a good recliner that much more. Or it might mean that I'm becoming more refined, becoming classier. I'm not sure which it is. Doesn't matter. Daniel's Fine Furniture and Bedding is the place I encourage you to go. Out by the airport, Highway 302. And the reason I do that is because the motion furniture, like a recliner, like a reclining love seat or sofa, that's their absolute specialty. You go in there, you look over to your right, and you see recliners almost as far as you can see. It's their leather gallery over there. Go check them all out, man. That's the great thing about Daniel's. You walk in there, you get the family feel. You're not just a nameless, faceless customer, another number in a big box store. Daniel and June Clark, who've been running and serving the Midlands with Daniel's Fine Furniture and Bedding for the last 25 years. They want to make you part of their family. They know that Furniture is a thing where it becomes a relationship of trust. If you buy a good piece of furniture that lasts, you're going to want to buy the next one there and the next one, and they want to take care of you for years to come and have you join the family. So go check out Daniel's Fine Furniture and Bedding, especially that leather gallery over to the right when you go in there. Find your ideal recliner for the next who knows how long, so you can become refined, or you can just be old like me. So when you know you need to save, Daniel's Fine Furniture and Bedding, the place to go. Go see him at the back of the airport near Highway 302 in West Columbia. Wow. Kentucky Joe. What a prisoner of the moment.
Yeah.
I'm going to look up his record against Kentucky. I'm going to guess, though, first. I know at one time it was close if it wasn't the single best record of an individual coach versus an individual school in the history of college football.
Spurrier's record against Kentucky?
Yep. Career record. I'm going to go 18-2. What's your guess?
I don't. Do we know that it's around 20 times?
That's my guess. Just guessing, man.
I might say he only lost once then.
He's got a 26-year coaching, but 3 of those years were at Duke, so somewhere around 23.
I might say no, because I think it was like an 18-year streak and they lost. So maybe I'll say 20-3. He even said in his text, breaks the streak.
Well,
Which just
good number
proves
one.
Yeah. But when you're saying like the gist of your point is like Kentucky owns Steve Spurrier, but you have to mention that Kentucky broke the streak because he had beaten you so long that it was noteworthy.
I'm not even looking. It's taking too much work. It's such a weak point. I'm not even going to do it anymore.
You saw the brawl the video of the brawl at the Rams game, right?
I didn't, but I hate looking at that stuff, man. Just makes me feel bad about humanity.
No, I mean it's a pretty funny video because it was completely instigated by a woman 2 rows down from the action.
Sounds about right.
Like there's a guy in an Aaron Donald jersey, like yelling at 3 guys, and then as he turns to walk away, a woman sitting below the 3 guys that he was talking to throws her drink at him, and he immediately turns and like backhand attacks the 3 guys, thinking that they did it.
Was it cell phone video?
Yeah, and there's video from both sides. They have the overhead version watching the whole thing, and then they have a behind the woman version where you can see her reach down in the cup holder and throw the drink at the guy. People tracked her down immediately and found her social media and her name, and all of those people are banned from the stadium.
Yeah. think the only player mentioned by name, Steve Spurrier's restaurant, by the way. The catch of the day, named after Ike Hilliard. It surprise you at all? No others mentioned. To me, I would have thought he would throw out more names there. I'm wondering what the deal is with Ike Hilliard.
I don't know how else you can incorporate a player's name.
Oh, you can just
Is Ike Hilliard hands down the best receiver that ever played for Spurrier?
I don't think hands down.
I mean, I remember him in the NFL with the Giants, I think, right?
Yep, mostly with the Giants.
Yeah, I remember him with the Giants, but I definitely don't remember him as a college player.
I think it was Jacquez Green might have gotten a nod somehow as well. There is a citrus reference in one of the drinks, I think, with the UT and the whole thing. And they tried to play it up. Interesting concept.
How many of these ideas were actually Spurrier's?
Yeah. I would guess some of them to some extent. How many fully? But again, to me, that's what smart people do, right? Especially if you're outside your realm of expertise, which is basically drawing and on the football field. You get smart people around you to help you. So, get that it's a personal museum. That's kind of an ego trip, but getting other people to kind of set it up for you. Smart move. Hour 2 coming up. I gotta go move out of the car, get kids ready for school here.
All right.
Yeah, I think I sent the link to Jen. Let me double check. So she's not doing the stream today. No, I just sent it to you. Maybe she can come on and join you here for a sec. Oh, that shouldn't be long. So you haven't seen the mascot stuff? Washington, that was
No, I haven't seen anything yet. I have seen it confirmed that they have 3 names. I was hoping that they were going to actually announce what the 3 are. Let's see. Nope. Yeah, this name's going to end up being the Red Wolves. Matthew McConaughey has never worn deodorant. Fun fact for everybody.
You didn't want to just monologue the entire break?
No, I was just reading things. I was reading about how Matthew McConaughey has never worn deodorant in his life.
Hey, like that kind of thing. Are you serious? Get out of here. Not believing it. Not buying it. Publicist wrote that.
Apparently, Kate Hudson would bring a salt rock for him when they were filming Fool's Gold because she said, "You smell bad." Bathing habits have been a big story in Hollywood the last couple of weeks, ever since Mila Kunis and Ashton Kutcher said that you don't need to bathe your kids until they smell bad.
You need to get some other stuff to read, man.
I don't even read it. It pops up on Twitter. I don't go out of my way for it.
You need to ignore it. If it's popping up on your Twitter, it means you've clicked on something like it before, I think.
I mean, not even now. Once I scroll through everything, it starts suggesting things that I'm just not interested in at all.
But it's suggesting them based off of prior behaviors.
I don't know.
Talking about Steve's restaurant in Gainesville. Of course, Todd, the resident Alabama fan's got to weigh in. Todd always comes in with the agenda. Good morning. Wait until 10 or 15 years from now when Nick Saban retires. They'll have to build a stadium to hold all of his helmets, plaques, championships, rings, etc. They'll have a good payroll. Now, I bring that up because Alabama is in the news, is headlining the AP Top 25 poll. Came out yesterday. But see, not nearly dominating this poll at the top as much as the coaches poll, where they were near unanimous. 63 of the 65 first place votes in the coaches poll. Alabama, Oklahoma got the only other two. In the AP poll, it's not like they didn't get the vast majority of them. 47 first place votes, but 16 other votes going various other places. Oklahoma and Clemson with 6 each, and Clemson and Oklahoma switching spots at number 2 and number 3 in the AP poll as opposed to the coaches poll. So it's Oklahoma 2, Clemson 3 in the AP. Then Ohio State at 4, who got 1 vote for number 1, and then Georgia at 5, who got 3 votes. So the top 6 teams are the same in the AP and the coaches poll, just a slightly different order. In 2 and 3, Texas A&M number 6 in both polls. It's Notre Dame number 7 in the coaches poll, but number 9 in the AP poll. See, that's odd to me because I always thought it was more of a media hype job in the preseason for Notre Dame typically, and this year they're higher in the coaches poll. Maybe it's a sports information director type train that Notre Dame is on.
People are high on Jack Cohn. We didn't talk about him much yesterday, but I mean, he was pretty good for Wisconsin. I never thought he was a world beater or anything like that, but I guess that's why a freshman came in and took his job.
Mm-hmm.
Got to a 5-star.
Yeah, and a good player himself. Wisconsin sitting down at number 12 in the AP poll, 15 in the coaches poll. And again, mentioned yesterday, those two teams going to play each other, so we'll be really interested to see what week 3 or 4 I think you gave us yesterday. I think it's week 4 where Notre Dame and Wisconsin will play, likely with the Wisconsin transfer quarterback Jack Cohn at the helm for the Irish. So back to Todd's point, Patrick, is there a coach out there? Who is the coach out there that you would like to open a restaurant and then walk in one day, see him kind of welcoming everybody, doing the hotel proprietor thing, going around, making sure everybody's food's okay, shaking hands, taking pictures, because Steve Spurrier seems to be the opposite of that guy.
The answer would be Bill Belichick, because he is for sure not that guy. But I would love to see him just forced to bounce around the room and just mumble at people, "Are you enjoying your food?" And just that would be hilarious to me. The person that will absolutely do it next is going to be Mike Krzyzewski, because nobody loves himself more than Mike Krzyzewski, and nobody loves being told how great they are more than Mike Krzyzewski. Although I could see a Dabo's Diner opening up in the upstate one day as well.
So just be K's, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yep. That will happen. It's only a matter of time.
Unbelievable. You know, Shula's, I think, has done well, or did do well for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Shula seemed to be a guy who really fit that mold pretty well. I feel like Joe Gibbs, similar to that type of personality, to where he would be an excellent host. I feel like coming in.
I don't know what his
stories to tell.
I don't know what his theme would be, though.
Right? If he goes, well, that's the thing. He could go combo football and NASCAR.
NASCAR, yeah.
Tons of memorabilia, I'm sure, all over the place.
I do feel like the garage theme is very like ideal for a restaurant. I think it's a cool scene for a garage.
Some of you getting similar ideas when you're thinking about this, which coach you would like. Papa Joe, Cool Care Heating and Air text line this morning. Lane Kiffin's Kiss My Grits Grill. Pretty good. Casey Estridge also suggesting Lane Kiffin. Now, I mean,
you have to win something, though. You have to have something to display.
That's part of it, right? But personality-wise, that would be good. I think Mike Leach would probably be the most excellent restaurateur in coaching out there, because, man, you talk about a guy who would just talk your ear off about nearly anything. He seems to be that guy, doesn't he?
I don't know. It'll be like he'll have random artifacts hung up on the wall,
right?
And you'll be like, "Hey, that's a cool." Because what was his class was football and military strategy or something like that.
Yeah, I think he's written a book on Native American history.
Hey, that's a cool weapon on the wall. What is that? And then he'd talk your ear off for 25 minutes, and your food would get cold.
Or maybe more of a bar. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, a bar would be nice.
Logan weighing in with Ed Orgeron. I mean, obviously, style, it would have to be very specific. And the problem there is we got to remember what a lightning rod he is going into this year with LSU fans, especially. Because this is part of your thing. This is part of the thing here, too, because how many coaches end up leaving their jobs still beloved by their fan base? Spurrier certainly didn't at Carolina. He still beloved. I don't think when he left the Florida job, obviously in that article too, I raised my eyebrows. It was like, is by far the most beloved sports figure in University of Florida's history. I was like, Tim Tebow doesn't even get a close second at this point, especially when he went and coached somebody else in the division for as long as he did. It was just all water under the bridge. All right, if you say so. DC going with Les Miles. There's some kind of grass theme. Yeah, definitely natural. I did see burgers farm to table. That's where they're going with farm to table type things.
Les Miles will not be getting any restaurant anytime soon. But
Well,
Ed
I mean,
Orgeron could work because even if he gets fired, he still coached arguably the greatest college football team of all time, and he still is Mr. Louisiana. Like if he opened up a plate, it would be like a gumbo shack. Like he wouldn't
Right.
serve anything but gumbo. He would
No.
serve it by the bowl or the cup, and
He
that
needs
would
to
be
open a
it.
cookie place.
His thoughts of Cookie Monster.
Gumbo and
Exactly.
cookies. Just gumbo and cookies. I think they can go together.
Lunch and dessert.
But it wouldn't be a diverse menu. It would be like it would be a tiny little shack,
That'd be
and
awesome.
it would
Just
have
says
his first
cup or bowl.
dollar and his championship ring hanging up on the wall, and that would be it.
Would you like the cup of gumbo or the bowl of gumbo?
Yeah.
Both come with a cookie. Done.
Easy.
But if he gets fired this year at LSU or next year, it doesn't work out, I don't think anybody's going to invest in that sucker.
No, but people still love him. Like I think he'll always have a home there. I don't think he would get fired and people be like, all right, now go back to where you came from. Like that's basically what Steve Spurrier did. But
Right.
Ed Orgeron, there is no back to where he came from. Like he is Louisiana through and through.
Adam, with the suggestion that he'd love to see Larry Bird open the Bird's Nest. Jim in Carolina Beach,
Yep.
resident Clemson fan. I'd love to see Dabo's Tiger Town Tavern. See, but that doesn't fit Dabo. He's not a let's have a drink kind of guy. That's not his vibe. Neil says, thanks, Patrick, for putting Dabo up there with the greatest coaches of all time. Glad to see you were coming around.
Nothing else to talk about.
I mean, he's a good catch. Been successful.
No one cares about Steve the Quitter talk. Talk about Gamecock football. Thank you, Dave. Love.
Oh, so maybe
the
that's
order
the,
around.
so maybe that's the theme. Like he really should have a sushi bar because that's really not cooked, so it's not really done. So everything is not finished, or or yeah, there could actually be a theme. You only get your steaks raw. We don't cook it all the way because we don't finish our season.
I'm guessing that concept might not catch on. It is a pretty unique concept.
Just saying.
I like an underdone.
That's a great call. That is something that I could see hold. It's cookie dough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like you can it's a little bit crunchy on the outside, but when you bite into it, you can taste the batters still.
Yeah, good call.
That's ideal.
Basically a cookie dough. How about that? What a concept. So that's where we are this morning. Again, from the Gamecock perspective, everybody involved in the quarterback situation set to talk a little later on today. And I know we're all interested in what Luke Doty's got to say after the injury, and then the backup quarterbacks behind him getting the bulk of the reps. And Jason Brown, the transfer, Colton Gauthier, the freshman quarterback. We'll continue to discuss that. Love to hear your thoughts at 803-404-6100. It's the early game on 107.5.
Clear.
I'll be right back.
I did hear crying in the background. Who's playing right now? Oh. Edo's cookie dough. I like that, Anthony.
Good call, Anthony.
What would Mushtam's restaurant be? Can anyone make a name pun for Will Muschamp and what his restaurant would be? That's what I'd like to hear. What is Titans on HBO Max? Ted Lasso is probably got to be the best thing on television. Oh, this is the DC Universe thing with like Nightwing and all them. That's interesting. I have heard that The White Lotus on HBO is awesome, and that's what everybody's into right now. HBO's been putting out miniseries after miniseries that are all kind of like home runs. So I don't know.
I just can't get into a lot of that.
The miniseries?
Yeah,
or just
I guess.
any TV show to keep up with.
Yeah, I just can't get into, like, right now with Ted Lasso. I'm trying to work my way through. I never think of it at the right time. Like, I guess I'm just not as TV driven or something. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, I was gonna try and watch one more show before football season starts. I don't think it's gonna happen.
It's, I guess right now my attention span just isn't there to really sit and focus on, several episodes of something.
Yes, I remember that. It looks like from the poster and from a clip I saw, that's I guess that's what it is. Because I see Beast Boy in there, Raven, Robin. So I guess that's the plot. This is DC's counter to Chris. Chernobyl is one of the best miniseries I've ever seen. Not on TV now anymore, but yeah, if you haven't seen Chernobyl and you have HBO Max, it's unreal. Really graphic, really informative. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of it takes place in the hospital in the immediate days after the initial blast, and people's skin is basically falling off and stuff. It's incredibly graphic, but it's really, really good. Mostly centers on the scientist that's trying to clean up the mess, but also the KGB or whoever's trying to cover it up and can't make it look like Russia or Soviet Union did anything wrong, and very interesting.
I co-sign on Chernobyl. Good stuff. The Ice House? Why would Muschamps be called the Ice House?
I don't know, but I like the idea of not having menus. You just get programs. It's our food program for the night.
Oh, that's good. And a rooftop bar would make sense. You call it the Visor.
Oh, so ice to Eskimos.
There you go. Jimbo, he didn't make up that line.
Did you see this thing of Ernest Jones? His headset went out during the preseason game for the Rams, and he called the defense himself without any communication. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Dang.
Pro Football Talk wrote an article about it. Apparently Raheem Morris was very impressed by him.
Sure think so.
So that was another in the $5.5 billion stadium.
Too many electronics going on that it messed up the reception for the green dot helmets.
That still is just weird.
I can't remember who it was, but thought they had signal blockers in the Patriots stadium.
Yeah, you're up.
August 27th, love to see you out at Charwood to help us celebrate our 14th anniversary on 107.5 The Game. 10 a.m. tea time on August 27th for a four-person Captain's Choice tournament. First place wins a trip to Kiowa. Going to have Panera breakfast and Little Pig's lunch out there for you. Raise some money for Camp Cole. Give away a pair of tickets to the Gamecock season opener against Eastern Illinois. Prizes for all four par threes, including a grand prize worth $10,000. Give Charwood a call to register right now. You can do it as an individual or as a team. 803-755-2000 is the number to Charwood. That's 755-2000, that 14th anniversary golf tournament here on 107.5 The Game. Presented by Integrated Media, also sponsored by Buford Lending. Trophies provided courtesy of the Trophy and Awards Center over on Sunset Boulevard in Lexington. It is that time again where the build-up to football season is here. It also includes some NFL preseason stuff, and you just mentioned off the air, Patrick, just saw the article from Pro Football Talk as well. Former Gamecock Ernest Jones. Will Muschamp's already come up and talking about coaches and their forays into the restaurant business with Steve Spurrier's restaurant opening up down in Gainesville. Will Muschamp, the suggestion from Jim on the live stream, his restaurant would be called the Ice House for his line when he was introduced as South Carolina's coach, selling Eskimos or selling ice to Eskimos. And Patrick likes the idea of what being handed out instead of menus?
Programs, food programs.
It would have to be a fan, right? I feel like nearly as soon as you walk in the door, you have to stick your face in the fan.
Yep. There'll be footballs. What would on all the doors to the bathrooms? You got to punch out the ball.
Just like the football facility there.
Yeah, cause
interesting.
turnovers.
You have to.
You wouldn't have plays drawn up. You just have film over the urinals. You have to watch film. Probably have them. Yeah, you honestly probably have to. I'm trying to think of how to incorporate his 5,000-page defensive playbook into a restaurant theme.
A massive program.
You have to decode the actual food menu to figure out what they're serving.
And for sure, they would be open 365 days because they're vacations.
Yeah. Especially open on Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving's a meal, not a day.
Exactly.
As much fun as we like to have a Will Muschamp, you got to give him some credit for developing a guy like Ernest Jones, who around to the Rams. And then, Patrick, why don't you give the story about why Pro Football Talk is talking about the Rams rookie linebacker?
So they have, if you watch the NFL games, you'll see the green dots on the helmet. There's only one guy out there at a given time who's allowed to have the green dot on the helmet, and that just means that he's basically got the connection, the radio connection to the sideline. So you got the defensive coordinator in the ear of usually the middle linebacker relaying the plays and telling them what plays to call. And I think from what I read this article, I think it was like the first 21 defensive plays, the radio frequency was messed up. So Raheem Morris was unable to talk to Ernest Jones, and Ernest Jones was basically out there left to his own devices to call the plays. And apparently he just said, I'll go ahead and call the plays, and called the defense for 21 plays and did an incredible job. And they said you would have never known that he's a rookie in his first ever NFL game, calling the defense right now. And they were absolutely blown away by his intelligence. And I think you noticed that as a South Carolina fan. Like I was saying during the draft lead up, he's not a freak athlete in any way. He's not one of these guys that is like a 4.3 running sideline to sideline like Isaiah Simmons was at Clemson. Like just the freak show athletes. He was just always around the football. Like always seemed to be making tackles because he's just smart. He's instinctive and he knows what he's doing. And I think when he talked, you kind of sensed that too, that he was a good leader and he was always prepared. So I think he's going to have a nice long career. I think he's just a football player. He just understands the game.
People having fun with this Muschamp idea. And again, this is kind of the irony of the Muschamp era for me, is that obviously it didn't work out, and 16 losses the last couple of years. I don't think anybody saw that coming from where the program had started in the first couple of years. But there is no easy explanation, because you give the explanation that he didn't develop players. Well, what about Ernest Jones? I mean, a great example of a guy that was absolutely developed and not necessarily thought of, like you said, Patrick. It wasn't a bunch of physical tools that was overwhelmingly impressive. It was how he was taught, how he was coached, his own football IQ, and clearly learned a lot. But you guys are on the Muschamp restaurant. Do they pay you to leave at Muschamp's restaurant? It's pretty good from an anonymous texter. Another texter. Muschamp's appetizers called run fits. What's in a run fit?
Was Muschamp just coaching the wrong level of football? Should he have just been an NFL coach this whole time?
It's a great question, Patrick. It's hard to say, because he had success defensively before, and then to even hear that and then go back to last year's Ole Miss game and Matt Corral after the game saying, "Yeah, we knew what they were going to do before they did it." It's hard to convince me that that's going to have any kind of success in the NFL. So why do you think it would work better in pro football?
I don't know. Just the whole idea that his playbook is so advanced. He's got all these things, and when you're a student athlete, you don't have as much time to devote. They just can't understand it all the time. That's why the run fits are wrong. Guys are doing the wrong thing, missing assignments left and right. And maybe during the Ole Miss game, they had to just dumb it down and say, let's do this, this, and this. So Matt Corral was able to catch on. Like, is there a chance that he's just too much of a football nerd to actually equate to the level of these guys? Like, it's like if I tried to coach when I tried to coach 10-year-old lacrosse, I was getting so frustrated because I just want to put in a scheme, and they're trying to figure out how to throw and catch, and I'm like, ugh, please, I just want to do something more advanced. Like, if he was just with grown men who just live and breathe football and it is their career, and they can come in at 6 a.m. and leave at 6 p.m. and just study his 1,000-page playbook, would that have worked out better?
It's a good question, man.
But also his attitude, would he have been well received by NFL players? I don't know. A lot of college coaches have that issue.
He was with the Dolphins and Nick Saban, and it didn't work out there.
Yeah.
Muschamp's restaurant would be a 4-star menu, but actually be bad fast food. Anonymous texter. Dessert would be cherry turnovers. I think just with the turnover steaks. Trey's got a great idea. Will Muschamp's restaurant menu would be called The Tape. Just an iPad with a bunch of game footage. In order to get the actual food options, you have to identify the run fit. All gas, no brakes, crab legs, market price. Anonymous texter. Steve-O, interesting line. It's easy to develop players. The problem is most players require more than he was able to provide. Ernest Jones and J.C. Horn were exceptions to that rule. Okay. I mean, to me, that's saying that you get no credit for the guys you do develop, and only you get criticism for guys you don't as well. I get it. There are much easier guys to coach out there. And Patrick, maybe that's exactly what you're saying. Maybe it was, to me, it's a connection thing, right? Maybe Will Muschamp just connected with guys on a certain level. And if you weren't on that level, then the connection, not that it wasn't there completely, but it wasn't at the place it needed to be to have success consistent. Maybe it's that simple. But again, then as a coach on a major college level in any sport, it's your job to figure out how to make that connection. Anonymous Texter says, wasn't his problem hiring assistants? His coaching was solid. I think that's another way of saying that he knew what he was doing X's and O's wise, saying his coaching was solid. But again, and I think maybe that's what's encouraging for Gamecock football fans the most, especially having seen Dabo Swinney do it in the Upstate without any history on his resume as a coordinator. And coming in with more the reputation as a recruiter and a position coach, just like Shane Beamer, knowing that the head coach's job in college football can be to basically foster all these relationships, be the CEO from that standpoint. I mean, as I was saying that, I was thinking about Steve Spurrier. He certainly wasn't that guy, but I think Spurrier is the exception in college football history as just being an offensive genius and being able to overcome that. I think his history as a player, his personal history there, helped give him an instant extra connection with players. But what we've seen so far from Shane Beamer is that he does understand the relationship part of it and seems to place a tremendously high value on it. How that translates on the field with these Gamecocks, we'll know pretty soon. And again, we're going to hear from all the quarterbacks a little later on today. That story will take another step. Luke Doty set to speak after this morning's practice somewhere around noon or so, as are the other quarterbacks taking the bulk of the reps now that he's out injured and questionable for the season opener, and transfer Jason Brown and freshman Colton Gauthier. Overhang defender loaded nachos is pretty good. Papa Joe says the restaurant should be called the Nub Side. All kids in Muschamp's restaurant get a coloring book and crayons except for the green ones. Those are his favorite color. From Sashawn, you lost me on that one. Any idea, Patrick?
He's being very mean to Will Muschamp.
Is it money?
I think he's just saying that. I think he's just saying that Will Muschamp beats crayons.
Anonymous texter, restaurant name, no adjustments. You get what is listed on the menu.
Can I have that without tomato? No.
Muschamp's restaurant, you can order whatever you want, but you're getting a burger with meat and cheese only and a lecture as to why it's better than what you ordered. That's from Trent. That's where we are this morning.
Got very mean.
803-404-6100. I think actually Muschamp has that type of sense of humor. He would probably laugh at these things the highest.
Now do Shane Beamer. Now everybody do Shane Beamer.
No, you're just asking for trouble. 803-404-6100.
Beamer steamer. You do not want to eat that.
We kick off the second half of the show next. It's the early game on 107.5 Game. Day number 2 of school. Got off to a great start today. I believe I have kid number 2 still at home. Didn't make it through the second day of school. That adds to the 16-month-old, so we might have a bigger mess than usual at my house today. Fortunately, we've had some professional help around our house with Zero Res, carpeted air duct cleaning. Zero Res has done a great job when they've come to my house a couple of times, cleaned our carpets, an area rug for us in the living room, freshened up the tiles in the bathroom and the kitchen. And they do it differently than anybody else. They have a patented powered water system. I don't understand all the chemistry involved. You can go to ZeroResColumbia.com to figure out how they crank up the pH and the whole deal. I just know it works. I also know there are no harsh chemicals involved in the process. That's important to me and my family at this stage. And there's no leftover soapy residue. That's why my carpets have stayed cleaner longer. Yours can as well. And you can get them to help you get your house looking and feeling its freshest and best right here at back to school time. Take advantage of their summer sale. 3 rooms of carpet clean, only $119, plus a free hallway when you mention me, Tim Hill. Give Zero Res a call, 803-262-4020. You can book your appointment online right now at ZeroResColumbia.com. That's Zero Res, spell it backwards or forwards. It's the right way to clean. Oh, sorry about that. Audio there. Nub side nuggets on the kids menu. Nice.
Yum. You just call them chicken nubs.
RL. Our chef is injured. Hope we get him back next week. Chef never cooks again. No substitutions at all. Steve Patrick, this is just Gamecock fans got to get this stuff out, man. You can't let this just fester. Just get it out. All in good fun, man. The guy walked away with $12 million. You can't feel that bad for him, can you?
No burgers today. Chef's got a thumb on his spatula hand.
Some of these just crack me up, man. Oh, man.
I would like to own a bar or restaurant. I would only serve one thing, though.
Oh, man. These are great. These texts. People have gotten into it. I love it.
They did get very creative with it.
What's that?
They did get very creative with it. Have you ever been to a place like that owned by a sports figure?
Not that I can remember off the top of my head. You?
I remember when we went to Tampa Bay for the Redskins-Bucks game in 2007. My dad said we got to go to Leroy Selman's Steakhouse, so we did.
Changed your life?
The only one I can remember. I think it was good. I can barely remember it. I just remember Leroy Selman, and I didn't know who he was at all.
No, my dad's been to Ozzy's in St. Louis and met Ozzie Smith.
That'd be cool.
Isn't there a sports bar in Indianapolis that's owned by somebody famous?
Yeah, me on that one.
I'm not sure.
Oh, I think I have been to maybe. Is Ditka's in Chicago? What's in Chicago? No, it's Harry Carey's. Is that what's in Chicago?
Yeah. There's actually a couple spin-offs on that one now.
Yeah, I was thinking it was Harry Carey maybe. Steakhouse.
The Harry Carey Restaurant Group.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty good.
Welcome
It's
to
near the airport there when I snowed in one night.
And at Midway Airport, I think they actually have a, kind of a to-go version of that, or like a little bar and
Right.
place to eat.
Oh, how was it, Josh? Vince Young's, I assume. I'm surprised he has one.
Oh yeah, that's pretty new, right? I remember hearing about that.
He's having so many struggles. I'm surprised he got a restaurant.
And back in. And
Thank
the
you.
caller hung up, so no calls.
Gotcha.
Harry Carey has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8
Jim,
restaurants.
will you just go back to the live chat, the stream for messages? How we typically do it on the video stream.
Oh, yeah,
Can you just go there?
That's right. Yeah, that's where I put the thing about the caller.
Busy week here on 107.5. The Game as football season continues to get cranked up. We're out at Williams-Brice Stadium this Thursday. Gonna give you all the details on the latest ticket deals. It's a back-to-school weekend, Thursday to Sunday. Going to be able to get special prices, special deals. And you guys seen the ticket price for the season opener? $18.01 as a throwback to when USC opened. $18.01. Get a ticket to the season opener to the Eastern Illinois game on September 4th. GamecocksOnline.com/ticket. Get yours today. Tickets, that is And plenty more details coming your way Thursday from Williams Brice here on 107.5 The Game. On Friday, it's going to be a Gamecock Central preview kickoff party. Going to be over in Casey at Steel Hands Brewing. 7 o'clock is when the program begins. Player roundtables, guest speakers. Heath Klein's going to be out there live on location from 4 to 7 at Steel Hands in Casey, part of the pregame event. And then 8:30 on Friday night, Patrick Davis and the Midnight Choir will get the music going. Going to be prize giveaways, those stories that we talked about, the live music, the Gamecock Central preseason party, Steel Hands Brewing in Casey Friday. This Friday, August 20th, with Heath Klein live on location there. So big week for sure. A big response to the theoretical Will Muschamp restaurant continues. I mean, you guys are getting pretty good here. Patrick thinks you're just getting mean. I think it's all like good fun. RL, our chef, is injured. Hope we get him back next week. Chef never cooks again. Will Muschamp's restaurant. T-Ray suggests the restaurant should be called Leftovers. Nothing ever served up was fresh or different here. Now that's a little harsh, I think. Patrick, you really feel bad reading these? We're talking.
It's mean.
Really?
It's mean.
Again, I think Muschamp himself would probably enjoy this. Jim, at Muschamp's restaurant, if there's a problem with the food, you're not allowed to talk to the staff. Brian on Twitter goes one step further. He says everyone has to order from the manager because no other employees are allowed.
Yep.
That's good, man.
Really good.
Every time there's a mistake, I bet you the chefs would have to stay late, watch the film, be like, this is when you should have flipped it. Right there.
Which way are you going? Yeah. Are you going, it's too mean to talk about, or you having fun with it? Which way, Patrick? You can't have it both ways, man.
It's mean. I take it back. I feel bad.
No, you don't, because it was really good.
Chandler suggests all of the Muschamp restaurant employees would be on salary because we know he can't manage a clock. Just creative. Gene says in Muschamp's Bistro on Thanksgiving Day, they would offer nothing special because, hey, it's just day. Anonymous texter, Muskrats, window and salad dressing restaurant where our menu is day to day. Josh, no salad bar at Muschamp's House of Field Goals. Instead, all you can eat pudding bar. Wait, get that. West Columbia Town. At Muschamp's Diner, you get one item on the menu. Doesn't matter what the Google reviews say or what the other diners on the block are doing. Here's your food. We only change the menu in the office. I'm having fun with this. I think they're using your creativity well. I'm proud of us. No. I like the hypothetical part of this the best. I mean, because where do you put it? That's the other part, right? Do you have
where would it be more successful?
Every SEC city?
I put it right next to well, only two fan bases are really unhappy with him, right?
Florida and here?
Yeah.
Is that what you're going
LSU fans have nothing against Muschamp. They probably loved him.
Auburn assistant. Texas probably
He
appreciate
did a great job at all three of those spots, right? True. I would put it right next to Spurrier's, a Spite store.
I mean,
what's greater, their love for Spurrier, their disdain for Muschamp? Hate is a stronger emotion than love.
It's true, but I don't think it drives you to a restaurant.
Depends who owns it. I don't think anybody wants to put any more money in his pocket, but
I have examples just from this morning that people hate listen to this show. I don't know if you go hate eat, do you? At a restaurant anyway? You might do that with dessert, with ice cream at home or something.
There are some places that I just always get bad service, but the food's just so good that I can't stop going back.
Alan, on the YouTube live stream, if your order is wrong at Muschamp's, they'll go back and look at the recipe and procedures to reevaluate. 30 blast is T-Ray's suggestion for the name of the restaurant. Same play run on third down over and over. Again, what I've seen here is that Muschamp basically gets all the blame, none of the credit. The Ernest Jones story is a great one. Pro Football Talk. And again, another guy, maybe the guy, DJ Wanham. And maybe it's just the fact that there are not enough guys, right? In South Carolina, you got to have so many guys to compete especially now where Clemson and Georgia are at, that it's got to be the rule and not the exception. And I think that maybe ended up ultimately, from my mind, being the biggest problem in the Will Muschamp era, that the guys who got developed to that high level were clearly the exception. Throw Javon Kinlaw in there if you want to. I know a really talented guy coming in, but obviously it turned out well for him when he did the NFL. No AC at Muskrats. You can stick your face in the fan and like it, DC says. I mean, these are good. 803-404-6100 if you'd like to weigh in. Patrick's smiling even though he doesn't want to, it looks like.
Still mean. You guys are mean.
This is a guy who's coming from the DC sports radio approach and said that we don't yell at each other enough on the show. Interesting.
He's got it tough. He's only making, what, $300,000 this year? Right. He can't afford a second house on a second lake in Georgia now.
Seriously? I'm pretty sure.
He can barely put gas in the boat.
We'll let Jen's comments slide here. Just going strongest of all. 404-6100 again, if you'd like to weigh in. So I don't think we've heard enough suggestions of actual coaches that you see. I like the Belichick concept, Patrick. I think that's a Steve Spurrier type deal, right? But I feel like Spurrier would have a play clock in his head going from table to table. What would you put that number at? 30 seconds max is what I would put it at.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's almost like he's got he and Jerry have their bar stools up on the visor rooftop bar, and I feel like it's almost a Godfather situation where there's like
Right.
whatever the thing is that stops you at like a movie theater. What's that? The ropes, and they have to
the
let
velvet
people
ropes.
through the ropes, and they come kiss the ring, and they can have a quick picture and just keep it moving. I wonder if he's contracted to be there. Hey, Steve, you got to spend at least 30 minutes at the bar
No way.
a month.
Names on the restaurant. He gets to call the shots.
Who's running it? His kids?
Whoever he wants to. No, I'm guessing.
Whoever's running it, like, he's got to be there every once in a while. You have to at least have a chance of you maybe bump into the head ball coach while you're at the restaurant.
Well, I would think for football weekends, especially Friday nights, that's going to be his deal. But again, like, how do you set that up? I can see maybe that's what it is. Maybe there's a clock, a play clock beside his stool, right? Anytime someone comes up, they start that thing like, all right, that's it. Time's up, my man. Gotta go. Next.
Well, I don't know. The Queen's got that button. The Queen of England has that button that she presses, and someone just comes and whisks her guests away. Right? I've heard about that. I bet he'd have something along those lines. You just have a queue, yeah, and then some giant defensive lineman from one of the Spurrier teams of the '80s is the bouncer and just grabs a guy and takes him away.
I like the idea that they all purchase a visor to go up to visors, right? And Spurrier gets to hold it, and then when he's done with you, visor, you go and pick it up and be on it.
Everyone in the staff wears a visor, right?
I'm sure. Yeah. I'm sure. Back to actual football discussion as we roll into hour number 3 with the Gamecock football quarterback situation going to be fully formed for us, at least as much as it can be at this point, with Luke Doty and the other quarterbacks speaking today, and Jason Brown and Colton Gauthier. That'll be about noon or so. You're listening to the early game here on 107.5. Man, if Sonny Gravett, his preseason highlights here are any indication, he's got a
I saw the no in the back, no.
What's that?
I saw the behind the back catch was lit.
Just caught an alley oop. It looks like last night. That's awesome, RL. I like where you and Trey, your heads are at. Spurrier's just buying out Margaritavilles. Put a little tweak on them.
Spurrier and Jimmy Buffett would get along so well.
Yeah. How about Spurrier just puts visors on all the parrots and good to go? That's the transformation.
Yeah, it's the exact same thing.
You cross out Margarita, you just write Spurrierville, and they're good to go. Let's get it going. Oh, Chris is interested. Chris is the Cowboys fan, Patrick.
Yeah, no
Shepherd's
news.
Glass
I mean,
Traffic Center, Shepherd's Glass, a true
Oh, so that's why you can't play along in good faith this morning, because you're on pins and needles over there.
yeah,
Just
I mean,
waiting for bad news.
they're promoting their documentary series, building the brand, like their YouTube series. I don't know.
Oh my gosh. Check out Cocky D's text.
That's, why would you do that? Can't bet on this. What's the point of doing that? What's the statistical model? They just throw a number out?
No idea.
A lot of questions about that situation.
Didn't come here because we've been killing it the past few years. Not quite sure where that's.
I think he's saying they didn't come here because we've been killing it. They came here because of Muschamp.
Oh, well, he also came because there was playing time available because other guys weren't killing it. That's pretty cool. Yeah, why don't you get out there, table 48? They say it's overcooked.
To every complaint.
We'll go straight into the closed bed. I have about 45 seconds. Guys are up.
Trent on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line suggests a Muschamp restaurant in an SEC town would go over very well because
30.
when Muschamp's in your town, you know your team's just harsh. Harsh is how I'm going to put it today, Patrick.
Sounds like
Next line.
you shouldn't open a restaurant. Just be a rage room.
Not bad. Might be a good idea. Hopefully, you'll have some good ideas today about Washington football team mascots. Patrick's on pins and needles waiting for the news. Let's see if we can make it to hour number 3. Coming up next.
You're listening to the home of the Gamecocks, WNKC.
See you, Ray. Good point.
What? Harbaugh's book?
How to lose and still keep your job. Basically, what he's saying. That's Harbaugh's book.
Which Harbaugh?
Jimbo. I'm going to go overall record. It's pretty decent, especially compared to some others, but not in Michigan.
Against Ohio State.
I need to run upstairs and check a 6-year-old who didn't make it to school.
Uh-oh. Is he sick?
Sore throat to this. Be right back.
Good luck with that. See, I come up with so many like mean things. It's not just ideas for the restaurants or
Puns.
I'm just not a nice person.
I don't think anyone else elicits this type of response from South Carolina fans.
Yeah. But yeah, so is that house in, on Lake Murray, like, is that a weekend home? Is that just a good investment property, maybe?
Still owns it, right?
I think so. If he wants to sell it, I know somebody who could help him. Just saying.
Yeah, nice commission.
Yeah, I could do that. Mm-hmm. I'd still come in here and hang with you guys. So I didn't hear anything about Heath yesterday, or Bill yesterday, as far as how things went with Heath, or in Heath's show, I should say.
I wonder if you got Dave involved. It's usually Dave's one chance to actually speak during the show is when Bill hosts it. I don't know if they did guitar trivia or not.
Oh, there you go.
That's usually what the deal is. People text in questions about guitars or old rock music, and it's like trivia for Dave.
There you go. He could do it. That's for sure.
He usually gets them all right.
That's incredible.
That's all he does during his show. Is you walk in the producer room and he's just on the computer looking at guitars.
Yeah, don't have that much love for a guitar.
He has like 20 guitars.
That's insane.
I'm pretty sure if you walk in Dave's house, it's just guitars everywhere. On the wall, on the floor, just everywhere.
That would be my guess. Curious if he had some big rager for his birthday,
Just everybody comes over and grabs one.
Grabs a guitar, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Big birthday jam session.
Jam out, yeah.
Yeah. It could be cool to party with.
Yeah, I've never seen him play.
I haven't either. I assume he can. He's not just
Yeah,
an aficionado.
Yeah, I've seen pictures of him holding guitars, but never actually watched it.
We have another guitar guy at the station, the production guy, Chris Logan.
Mm,
What?
yeah, for Kiss.
Yeah, like some of his email addresses or like fret burner, stuff like that. So or account names.
Chris Logan.
Yeah.
Oh,
Big guitar guy.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I don't know that I've heard him play. I would like to, because I bet he's probably pretty good.
Yeah, probably.
It'd
be cool to be able to play guitar.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to be able to play the piano first and foremost.
I played piano for a long time. It would be something that it would be relaxing, like if I was frustrated or something, I'd just go sit and play, but my mom was one who could play by ear, so she could hear a song and just start playing. I never had that ability, I needed the sheet music.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It seems like the coolest thing to just go into like a nice house that has a piano sitting there that's basically just there for appearances and no one ever plays it.
Right.
And you can just sit down and play something beautiful. People never expect that.
No. Like I said, I wish I could, not need the sheet music, but
right.
That's a gift, truly.
I totally forgot how to read music from my middle school band days. I don't even know what they're called anymore.
What was the name in the middle school?
It wasn't a band. It was like the like I played the trumpet in the
school band.
You didn't have a cool band. You were in the school band.
No, yeah, I had to. My parents made us all play an instrument.
Gotcha.
Yeah, did that. The marching band. I like doing the field shows. I was the nerdy one that thought that was kind of cool to do.
Mm-hmm. I didn't play when we would do our recitals or whatever. I would just sit there and press the keys and not actually blow into my trumpet.
That wouldn't be, man. That's competitive.
They didn't need me.
I wanted first chair, so I worked at it. And then when I wanted to play piccolo, they had where second chair played piccolo. So I botched my audition so that, I'd get second. I'm like, well, can't I just choose? But that was weird. I like band.
Does it sound, what's the worst sounding instrument that if you don't know how to play it?
Clarinet.
It's really bad. Clarinet.
I can get with that.
Because I played the trumpet, and if you didn't know how to play the trumpet, it sounded like something was dying. That was really bad.
Yeah.
But also, my sister played the violin, and when you don't get the stroke right, and you start going down the sides, it sounds terrible. Yeah.
Sax too. I can see that trick.
And the oboe is another one. A friend of mine played the oboe.
The trumpet was bad just because you don't blow into it. You kind of spit So if you run out of energy, my lips would be sore after after practice.
We're in the intro.
Sax, yeah. Never wanted to deal with the reed. I didn't play the sax.
You'd be so careful.
Yeah.
Double reed with the oboe. You're up.
You guys ever feel like you're in the future? Conan O'Brien used to do that bit in the year 2000. That's 21 years ago. In 2021, if you would have given me my choice of 130 major college football programs, there are several in yesterday's AP Top 25 poll that I would have chosen as the least likely programs ever in my lifetime to be ranked in the preseason poll. Number one amongst those, that little school I would pass on Highway 378 on the way down to the beach. Actually, 544. So you go 501, 544, go right by Brooks Stadium, Coastal Carolina, number 22 in the AP Top 25 poll. A Louisiana directional school that has somehow just dropped the city they're in It's not Louisiana Lafayette anymore. It's just Louisiana I would have put on that list. And then some others, but Louisiana is right behind them at 23. How in the world is Coastal Carolina one spot behind the University of Texas in the college football preseason top 25? And guess what? Right now, if they played each other, I wouldn't. I'd probably put my money on Coastal.
I think they'd be favored. I think Vegas would give them the edge.
And then others receiving votes, another program I could have never convinced me was going to be a top 25 type of program. Liberty got the 29th most votes. Ball State is in there. UCF, UAB, who didn't even have football, got rid of their entire program. They're in those receiving votes. To me, this is what makes college football the best sport out there. And it's the reason why the college football playoff has to be modified. We love an underdog story in America. And you get to see it in college football, I think maybe more than anything other than the NCAA basketball tournament. Because there are always upsets. It's almost weekly. And they can be monumental. And to see what it means to the smaller program, the lower level program. But now I don't know how to think of a college football world where Coastal Carolina are right beside each other in the preseason top 25. Patrick, what about you? You're 18 years younger than me, so maybe you're much more easily adaptable to this. Are there any programs out there that boggle your mind? Maybe it's Indiana for you, being the Maryland band. They're sitting at number 17 right now, having had very little football tradition through the years.
Indiana and then Iowa State, because I just think of Iowa State as the most irrelevant program. Like, how do they recruit anyone there? They're the second fiddle in the state of Iowa. They're not in the Big Ten. Like, I don't know how Matt Campbell's doing what he's doing. So I don't know. College football, I mean, some teams have their moment in the sun where you go look back and say, oh yeah, they had that quarterback for a couple of years. They're a pretty good team. But that's the thing. Like, none of these teams, I think a lot of these teams are in there because of one or two things, like their quarterback. Like Grayson McCall is a big-time quarterback. I know the advanced analytics people love him. They think he's going to be an NFL guy eventually. So Coastal Carolina gets that jump from him. Brock Purdy's like a fairly high NFL draft prospect for next year, so Iowa State gets that bump from him. Desmond Ridder for Cincinnati, they get the bump. So I think it's just a kind of a flash in the pan thing for most of these programs, and if their coaches move on, they'll kind of go back down to where they usually belong. But realistically, no one outside of number 5 has a chance of winning the national championship.
You saying with the way it's currently structured,
yeah,
and then they expand it to 12, then you would think differently?
Yeah, I would put all of my money on the top 5 versus the field to win the national championship this year.
Yeah, I think most of us would, and based on what we've seen in years past, it would be a pretty safe bet. Not always a surefire bet. What was it? Ohio State, I think, when that first one, they came from 18th in the preseason rankings to do it. I think it might be the biggest run we've seen in the college football playoff era.
Now I can't even imagine Ohio State being not in the top 5 in a preseason ranking.
That's where the program is. Where we're at now with name, image, likeness, and things really just kind of evolving in a big way before our eyes. I'm interested to see if we get more of this, because I don't know if it's talked about enough nationally. Obviously, Coastal Carolina got a lot of play around here, and maybe it's difficult for me to grasp how they're looked at nationally, just having been so familiar with them through the years. But again, pretty mind-boggling in a lot of ways. Not somehow. So there's been an article recently on Yahoo on Steve Spurrier's new restaurant. talked a little bit about that. If you haven't checked out that article, I wildly recommend it, if only just to see the pictures of Spurrier posing uncomfortably in front of his memorabilia and getting some of the lowdown on the new restaurant. It's in Gainesville. It's the home of the coaches' shows for both Dan Mullen and the basketball coach Mike White down there. Apparently ESPN's already rented out part of the restaurant for when I think it's Alabama comes to town later this season to Gainesville. So it was $12 million to get going, and it's got a bunch of Spurrier stuff. It basically is kind of personal museum. The touch that I like the best is some of his ball plays are just kind of made into wallpaper on the walls there. I think that's pretty cool, but it's not what I expected, I guess, is why I brought it up this morning. And Jen kind of touched on the modern decor didn't seem to fit who Steve Spurrier is. But I mean, I think this is kind of really representative of him in a lot of ways, in that, and good coaches in general, right? This is what Nick Saban gets a bunch of credit for, Patrick, is evolving to the football game, especially offensively, and realizing that, hey, you got to do things differently. I mean, Savell Newton is the one that Spurrier always gave credit to for opening his eyes to what college football was becoming at that time, 15 years ago, that a mobile quarterback was the way to go. It was going to be difficult to continue to get first downs and move the football unless you had a guy who could pull it on third down and get you a big-time first down. And obviously the success with Connor Shaw is a good example of that. So in this article, it talks about how Spurrier got a bunch of consultants in. They went to a bunch of other similarly themed restaurants with big-time names and saw what worked, what didn't. And then he kind of sat in on meetings and tweaked things, and that was his role. And they got $12 million together, and boom, there it is. So that led me to ask the question of what coach would you like to host a restaurant the most? And most of us, or a lot of you out there, went the other way. Like, what if Will Muschamp owned a restaurant? And that got things creative in a big way. It even got our favorite 87-year-old caller thinking this morning. Gamecock Larry just left us hanging out to dry, apparently. He might have forgotten about his Will Muschamp restaurant comment. Yeah. It's part of the brilliance, though, of the Cool Care Heating and Air text line, because that didn't go away. Jordan was thinking about Jeremy Pruitt. If he opened up a restaurant, he might be the least likely head coach out there ever to open up a restaurant at this point, right? SEC head coach, maybe Matt Luke. Trying to think else out there.
Did you see the list of the celebrity restaurants Spurrier visited to come up with his inspiration?
I did see the list in that Yahoo article, but nothing stood out to me. What stands
I don't know that anything really stands out, but I just think it's funny that Troy Aikman, John Elway is the beginning, and then it ends with Mike Shanahan, Tiger Woods, but then you just got Gloria Estefan in the middle there. Her celebrity restaurant sandwiched in between all the Hall of Fame NFL quarterbacks.
She's part of the Miami Sound Machine. Yeah, let's go.
I bet your restaurant.
Catchy tunes. Yeah, that's some catchy tunes. Always like
Estefan Kitchen Orlando. Our menu. I'm looking it up right now.
Alan, that's pretty good. So Spurrier just got his first complaint. Goes to his chef, asks. He's not.
Oh, bottomless mimosas at Estefan Kitchen. Open-faced Cuban egg sandwich.
Clearly, Patrick's hungry right now.
Yeah.
Or you're on the payroll. Not sure which it is.
Oh, the sampler platter. I love a sampler platter.
404-6100. What's part of the sampler platter? What do you
calamari, masitas de puerco, empanadas, marquitas, served with Estefan Kitchen barbecue and Mojo sauces.
Sorry, Mojo sauces?
Oh, so the masitas are marinated crispy pork bites with grilled onions and yuca con mojo. Sounds pretty good.
Little work. The Spanish needs a little work, but the food sounds pretty good.
Sounds pretty good. Check out John Elway's restaurant.
Barry using his creative thought process well. We mentioned Mike Leach.
I'm going to go through the list of all these. I would have never thought that Mike Shanahan would have a restaurant.
Oh, Barry thinks Mike Leach might open a dispensary instead of a restaurant. Don't think
Trey
would do that.
I think Trey
in
might have a
Mississippi.
dispensary after looking at his
Yeah.
eyes in some of these recent broadcasts.
He and Calvin Johnson might be on the same
Yeah.
wavelength. Is that-
Yeah.
Okay, go through the list then. Go through the list of names. You got it.
Oh, I read the list. It was Troy Aikman, John Elway, Gloria Estefan, Pele, Mike Shanahan, Tiger Woods.
Oh, so you're going to go through the menus now?
Yeah, I want to see who's doing it right.
You got the whiteboard there. I need them ranked. And then when you put the name, then you have to put maybe a signature dish or why you ranked that rep at the top.
Well,
Malcolm
John
says-
Elway's is in the Ritz-Carlton in Denver, so
That's big time.
yeah.
As you were talking about Gloria Stefan's restaurant, I was thinking about Frank Martin. That's one of the first things I asked him when he got the job, just to try to get a sense of his personality, what his favorite food would be, and he mentioned some sort of rice and beans dish. And Malcolm said the Frank Martin restaurant, and the staff just yells at you the whole time while you're eating. I'm impressed with the creativity, Dave. Really am. Back to more of the X's and O's conversation. It's all about the quarterback position for Gamecock football right now. And we're going to learn a lot more later on today. Well, maybe we won't learn a lot more, but we will at least hear a lot more about Luke Doty and how he's feeling. He's set to speak to the media today after practice, as are his backups and the guys that are taking his reps that he won't be getting here in the next couple of weeks with him out of practice, with him listed as questionable. He's an opener for Eastern Illinois on September 1st. Jason Brown, the transfer, and then the true freshman and three-star recruit Colton Gauthier also expected to speak, as are other offensive players. So I'm going to be really interested to hear what they have to say and then to see how they're saying it as well. And that was part, I think, of maybe even how we got on this discussion was you're talking about what we're expecting to hear, and you're saying probably just the usual quarterback speak that you're competing against each other from Jason Brown and Colton Gauthier. But my point earlier was whether or not I buy what you're saying, you can say the exact same thing, but I can come away with a completely different feel about what you said based on how you said it, especially in this setting. Because it was when you were talking about, hey, I came here to be the starter and I'm here to compete with the other guy. When you were saying it, Patrick, something about maybe your phrasing or how you said it reminded me that you can come off as a really good teammate saying those words if you say them in one way, and you can come off as the most selfish teammate if you say them another. If you say them with an edge, like, hey, I came here to be the starting quarterback. Like, I'm competing with that guy. Or you can say it with, yeah, well, we all came here to be the starting quarterback and we're competing, and you add in other compliments, or you just say it in a different way. That's what is going to be kind of what I'm listening for the most, or watching for when seeing and hearing these guys speak today is kind of the way this thing gets delivered. And I'm expecting it to kind of follow suit with the leadership. And I think that goes back to the Will Muschamp criticism that I don't feel like it's over the line or mean-spirited this morning, because it's how Will Muschamp led, kind of set the tone for, I think, how remember him and give criticism where they feel like it was earned, because he had a certain style, right? And if you question that style, you're done. You're cut off. No more talking. Yeah. He has the opposite type of style, or at least so far in his tenure seems to be pretty much polar opposite that.
And I think all three of these quarterbacks are more in they're more in line with Shane Beamer's style. Like
so was Brian Hilinski though, right? I mean, Hilinski was
sure.
I mean, I would pick him above anybody right now, being an advocate for mental health and really outgoing, spoken, and all of that.
Well, and we knew the most about him just because he was so outspoken. what we know about Luke Doty is just what we've seen him say. He's a high energy kid. Seems like he likes to have a good time. He's just a pretty easygoing kid, it seems like. But Jason Brown, all I've seen from him is big smile on his face, talking about just this is crazy. Last time I played football, I was at a FCS school, and now I'm here in Williams-Brice Stadium. It's just crazy. And I've seen videos of him doing the Bobby Boucher impression.
Right.
And he just seems like a really fun kid. So I would not expect him to be on the podium and start getting all serious, like, oh yeah, I'm out for blood. I'm trying to win this job. Like Colton Gauthier is my enemy now. Like, no, he's gonna be really laid back and I think really loose about the whole situation. And then Colton, I don't know a ton about him. I think he's got some natural leadership ability just by the way that he was described as kind of leading this whole recruiting class, like first guy to put his name in, held strong the whole time, was always texting guys, wanted them to be a part of it. But I think he's also probably a pretty laid back guy because the only thing I know about him off the field is that he's a musician.
Right. He's a guitar guy, right? He's got to be Captain Dave's favorite quarterback.
Yeah, I would think so.
There's social media videos out there of him playing guitar.
That's his cameo thing, right? He plays songs on Cameo, I think. Yeah.
I think I've seen Gamecock fans saying our quarterback rock harder than yours or something like that.
So I don't know who's a super intense college football quarterback that we've seen recently. I mean, you brought up Tate Martell, but he's more of just kind of a jerk that just doesn't get it. But
yeah, but
I don't think
let's not whitewash this, Patrick. All of these guys flip the switch on the field.
Probably.
You have to. Not probably. You don't make it into an SEC program unless you're that guy on the field. You have to be.
Well, nobody's really made it yet.
They've made it. They've gotten their scholarship. They are on scholarship at an SEC football program for a reason. To me, you got to give them credit for that. I hear what you're saying though. Now it's kind of another level, and that's what Shane Beamer and Marcus Satterfield will be evaluating here in the next couple of weeks. If for nothing else, then to figure out who they're going to put on the field if Luke Doty is unavailable and if he were to miss a play or two later on in the season, which I think part of the preseason narrative going in this year, but his injury has completely kind of shifted focus or intensified that focus, maybe is the best way to put it.
That's the thing that I'm really the only thing I'm intrigued about hearing from Jason Brown and Colton Gauthier is, are they like deferential to Luke Doty and saying, yeah, we're going to keep your seat warm until he's ready? Or like, how are they going to handle those questions? Because as far as the QB battle, you know what two teammates are going to say. Like, yeah, I love the guy, get along with him great. He's a great player, but it's a battle, and that's just what it is. We're going to bring the best out of each other, and it's going to be competition, but it's going to be a respectful and friendly competition. Like, they're not going to be like saying why nobody's pleading their case to the South Carolina media why they should be the starter. Jason Brown's not going to say, well, my arm is much stronger than Colton's. I understand this offense way better. I mean, I have played college football before. That's not going to happen. But I will be curious to see if they say, like, yeah, I mean, Luke's our starter. Luke's our leader. I hope he gets back soon because that's the guy we need and that's the guy we're relying on, and we'll be here to help him out. Or are they saying, no, this is my chance to become the starter? Like, my plan right now is to win this job, to play against Eastern Illinois, take it 1 week at a time, but just light it up against Eastern Illinois and earn myself playing time the next week. That's kind of what I'll be interested to hear.
Heating and air text line. Believe me, you're not interested to hear all of the texts today. Trying to weed out the ones that didn't quite make it, but the creativity continues to flow. Got two for you here. One for a hypothetical Will Muschamp restaurant, one for a Steve Spurrier restaurant. The actual Steve Spurrier restaurant. Anonymous texter hits us up. If there's a problem with your food, the manager just comes over and says, it is what it is. The co-pilot weighing in on the hypothetical Will Muschamp restaurant. The Will Special, an 8-ounce T-bone. Bring the food to you. It's a bologna and cheese sandwich. The next 30 minutes, Muschamp explains why it's good for you. A lot of creativity. We'll hear from our favorite 87-year-old caller, see if he is joining in and if he makes the cut today of some of the best thoughts on a potential Will Muschamp restaurant. Also, Gamecock football, I'm sure he'll yell at us, I'm guessing. wanted to remind you, if you ever want to leave a hot take, you got a vent, maybe you don't want to wait, call 803-978-6654. That's our hot take hotline there for you 24/7. Again, the number to that, 978-6654. It's sponsored by Twin Peaks for the men who never sell down Vista at 600 Gervais Street. See if Gamecock Larry's fired up when we come back. It's the early game on 107.5.
Goodness. I could never afford to eat at Mike Shanahan's or John Elway's restaurants.
Give me some prices.
Well, they've got a Wagyu section at Shanahan's.
I don't understand what you just told me. What did you just tell me?
Wagyu, like that fancy cut of meat.
Never heard of it in my life. So,
W-A-G-Y-U, really?
oh, W-A-G-Y-U?
Yeah.
Never in my life.
You can get an 8-ounce strip, A5 strip loin of Wagyu, and it's $165. John Elway's is slightly more affordable. You can get a oh no, you can get an 8-ounce strip for $90 at John Elway's.
That is just absurd to me.
At Elway's, you can do the 3-course dinner though for $90, and you can get. I would go with the tuna tartare as my appetizer, and then I would get a ribeye and Yukon Gold mashed potatoes as my side.
Oh.
Troy's is I like Troy's. It's in Texas Live. It's in a casino, so I'm all about that.
Right.
No prices on this menu, but it's basic food. Like it's just their starters. They have starters, burgers, and sandwiches, and salads, sides, and desserts. So I mean, his burgers are like he's got a Frio pie burger, he's got a pimento cheeseburger, he's got a Texas heat burger, and then his appetizers are wings, Bloody Mary shrimp cocktail shooters. I like the sound of that very much.
Apparently, there's a Greg Norman's in Myrtle Beach.
Oh, I believe that.
So,
Don't suppose you could do the Bloody Mary without the tomato juice, right?
I'm with you on that.
Vodka and shrimp? Okay, I can do that.
Wow.
Oh, I heard about that stuff. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
it's not worth that much.
I get excited about Taco Tuesday at my house.
About what?
That's what if it's not chicken nuggets, I think we're going classy right now.
Is this so confused? I typed in Pele's restaurant, but it's like coming up as this place in Hawaii. There's multiple places in Hawaii called Pele's, but Pele also sounds like a very Hawaiian name, so I don't think it's the same person. Honestly, so far, Gloria Estefan's place would be where I would want to go. Tiger Woods' place is just called The Woods, right? That's in Florida.
You got me on that one. RL, tremendous. I see what you're doing there. Excellent. Yeah, see, to me, Alan, like filet, big time. Big time.
I don't know anything about cuts of steak.
I'm
Yeah,
not
I
an
know
expert
very
either.
little.
I don't know what I like.
I think true chefs will tell you it's much more dependent on how it's prepared than what it is. But maybe that doesn't quite apply. Maybe that's everything else but steak. I don't know.
No, I think preparation is very important on some of that kind of stuff because you could really hose it up, knowing that like it will, the meat continues to cook a little bit even when it's not on the grill anymore and things like that all kind of play into your timing and stuff. I had to shut my door.
The 20 best
Got about a
celebrity
minute
owned
left.
restaurants. Number 2 is Moby's. Ludacris has a place in Atlanta called in the airport called Chicken and Beer.
Love that name. Trey, also effective sports talk radio.
Well,
But
Francis
I guess
Ford
you could say
Coppola has a restaurant.
the appearance of sounding intelligent.
Michael Jordan's Steakhouse in Chicago.
Heard of it.
Oh, he's got a couple.
And we're about to head back in. Shut my door. We have construction people all bustling about in here.
Nice.
I let them into a secret room. I may not have a job tomorrow, just so you guys know. If I don't come in tomorrow,
You know why?
you guys are up.
Man, going to be a fun week. We've got Williams-Brice Stadium live on location. We're going to be in the Cockaboos Club on Thursday. Right now, a back-to-school special, or Thursday to Sunday, I think is the back-to-school special, but I believe right now you can get tickets to the season opener for Eastern Illinois for $18.01. Go to GamecocksOnline.com/ticket. Tickets, that is, to get yours today. Plenty more details coming your way as all of our local shows. The early game, halftime show, Game Time will be broadcasting live Thursday from Williams-Brice Stadium. Looking forward to just getting out there, being in the stadium. It's just a different feel, I think. A guy who knows that very well has been waiting very patiently on our Love Chevy phone lines to weigh in on the program. Our favorite 87-year-old caller, Gamecock Larry, listening to our dysfunction this morning. I'm sure shaking his head, wagging his finger, and now would like to give us a lecture on what need to get it right. Is that about right, Gamecock Larry?
Well, I'm enjoying I've been sitting here thinking, trying to think of the name of Muschamp's restaurant. And I've been thinking, and the old man can't think too good, but everything come to my mind, I can't say it on the radio. So I ain't going to say it on the radio, and radio's against my religion, so I'm just going to let it go as that. Now, number 2, Tim.
Uh-oh.
Tim, Mr. Tim Hill.
I'm in trouble.
We do not have Luke Doty. Let it rest. Let him heal up. And talk about who we got. We got Garcia, and we got Brown. Those two going to practice, and we're going to be ready for the first game, though whichever one wins the battle. Doty will heal up. Give him time. He'll come back, but he's going to have to win his position back when he comes back from one of the other two. And I've always thought Old man can't think too good, but I always thought that Jason Brown has got an arm. Gotta got an arm. We do not need a running quarterback. We got the runners. They will be back. That's about, I don't forget what else I wanted to say, but I'm going to tell you, tomorrow morning I got my SEC East and SEC West. I got it figured out, and I'm going to surprise Gamecock Nation. And this is the way it's going to be when I tell you tomorrow. But I'm going to tell you one thing. 12-0 until we lose one, and that's my story, and I'm going to stick to it. Go Gamecocks.
Gamecock Larry, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, he's up and nodding now. I thought you might have nodded off there, Patrick.
No, I just... We love him. It was just rambling.
Get out of here.
He was a math major, I think.
Yeah.
12-0 unless you lose one.
I appreciate him not being mean to Muschamp, though. There's no need for all that.
I was a
Daughter and granddaughter. His daughter and granddaughter stopped by, and I think maybe that softened him. Maybe he was more prepared earlier.
That makes sense. To Gamecock Larry's point, or kind of to his point, I guess. That's what we're not sure about. When you're questionable for game number one, means you can't play. I think it puts it squarely at 50-50, as I understand it. Doubtful is 25%. Questionable, and then probable is 75%.
Depends who you ask.
What's that?
Depends if you're asking a pessimist.
It's true. But that's part of what I'm interested about today's comments from all of these guys is kind of where Gamecock Larry was going there. I mean, that's the thing with a team leader, especially for a team that's lost 16 games in its last two seasons. That you got to have some strong voices. And I get it that Shane Beamer comes in and it's a new coaching staff, and those guys are certainly going to lead and have strong voices. But I think we'd all agree, I don't know of any coach who doesn't abide by the philosophy or believe in that the best teams are player-led. I feel like we hear that from Frank Martin a bunch. We've heard Steve Spurrier take it one step further. The best teams that he's had is when the best players were also good leaders. And you go down the list, I mean, Connor Shaw kind of leads that way for Gamecock football when I think about it through the years. So how does that affect what we're going to hear from Luke Doty today? What does he feel like he can do? How much can you be on the sidelines or around the team and then still have a voice? Or do you kind of tailor things? Do you scale back a little bit? Do you use that voice to pump up those other guys in Jason Brown and Colton Gauthier? And then how do they receive that and the whole deal? I think this to me seems something that a more experienced or veteran program would be much better at handling or better suited at handling. I should put that.
Or a more experienced quarterback.
Right. Or all of them, right? I mean, none of these guys have significant major college football experience. Jason Brown, Sr. has played a bunch of quarterback in college, but at the FCS level. Colton Gauthier coming straight from high school last year. Got a spring practice in. And Shane Beamer saying basically that's the only reason he's in the conversation at all. You got Connor Jordan as a walk-on who's been part of the program for a couple of years, I believe. And then you got Luke, he played 2.5 games last year as a true freshman. So I think a lot of the success of this year's season, and then we've been saying all preseason long, right? Shane Beamer is passing the test in front of the podium with a microphone and the public messaging and connecting with fans, seemingly connecting with players and kind of healing the program. But I think the success of the quarterback position will go a lot further into healing this program and the fans and getting excitement, enthusiasm back. And I think on the flip side of that, if the position doesn't thrive, it has the potential to kind of suck the life out of things, because nothing will stop momentum of a football team more than a quarterback not playing well. You just can't have that. And when you don't have proven playmakers on the outside to begin with, bad recipe. So how these things come together, especially in the early part of the season, because Carolina football, nothing to gain really in the first 2 games, right? You don't pound a bad FCS team in Eastern Illinois, you can't feel good about your team as an SEC program. You don't go to East Carolina, which, again, Bill had Stephen Igo on yesterday, who covers East Carolina. You want to hear more of that, or you missed any of it, you can go check it out on the podcast page. But it was interesting hearing him talk about the remarkable job that Mike Houston has done flipping the roster and putting an emphasis on the linemen where they were so deficient in the previous years, where they're still young, especially on the defensive line, but much more talented than they have been, and it gives them a chance. Now, will it give them a chance to beat South Carolina? No one knows, but they were talking about the potential line being 3 to 5 points, depending on both teams probably in their season openers. I believe East Carolina, opens Appalachian State. So it's interesting getting the other perspective yesterday as Bill continues to fill in for Heath this week. Patrick Perrette, Jen Jensen in with me, Tim Hill. Dramatic conclusion of this morning's show is coming up, including the best we heard for hypothetical Will Muschamp restaurants. That, again, shocking this morning that Patrick thought it was too edgy. I think he's still trying to recover from the news of it's been narrowed down to 3 mascot names for the Washington football team. And you haven't heard any of them yet?
Just want to know what the options are.
You just want to know them so you can express your displeasure with all of them?
At least if I know the 3, I'll be able to pick the one I like, and then I can complain if it's not the one I like.
It's the not knowing that's giving them a thing.
Yeah, I don't want them to just pick the name and then be like, by the way, this was our second and third options. If you're making an inclusive community decision, tell us all 3 and let us go from there. Yeah. I don't want Ron Rivera picking the name. In the teaser video, Ron Rivera, Jason Brown, the president, listed 3 names, and Ron Rivera said, "Oh, I like bleep." I don't even want him in the conversation, frankly.
Too bad they're not asking you.
They should ask me.
Right. I mean, it's Twitter. You can just get on there if you want.
There's other
Where we are in the
fighting that
21st
battle.
century. All right, we're going to see if Patrick can make it.
There's other people fighting that battle for me. I don't need to.
Also, a former Gamecock impressing his coaching staff just 1 game in the NFL preseason. Those details on the way as well. It's the early game here on 107.5 The Game. Timing is everything. We know that in more than one way. Right now, the housing market absolutely on fire. Now might be the time you need to make a move. You definitely need to know what your options are when it comes to your buying power. That's why you need a lender that you can trust. I recommend you get Buford Lending. Call 843-524-2404. Benji Getzi and his team have proven to me that they are a lender that I can trust every step of the way, because when you get a lender, you know you got to have certain things at a certain point of the process. Buford Lending proved they can do that for me. When I called 843-524-2404, called that number several times, every time I've gotten exactly what I needed in a very expedient manner, and just the timing that I needed. So whether you're looking for construction renovation loan, conventional loan, VA, FHA, USDA, They're the experts there at Buford Lending, and Benji Getzy with his team with 25 years of experience and confident they can get you the best deal. The numbers that they showed me in my situation, absolutely mind-boggling. Let them work for you. Give them a call again. That's Buford Lending and Benji Getzy, 843-524-2404. Chuck, fantastic. If you'd have worked in a khakis reference, then I think you would have got a perfect 10 on this one.
What is a khakis reference? How can we?
Jim Harbaugh's restaurant, dress code, khakis only. You can only order steak to eat, milk to drink, while Harbaugh sits there and stares at you, then follows you home to a sleepover at your house.
Yeah.
Amended and stamped. Well done, Chuck.
I'm actually surprised Andy Reid doesn't have a barbecue joint in Kansas City.
Should be called Foggies.
Maybe there's just enough established barbecue places that he likes to frequent and doesn't want to intrude on anybody's business.
True.
And he'd be that kind of a guy.
Yeah. I would like to retire and own a bar with just a ton of TVs. That would be the main thing. And I would only serve one thing every day, whatever I felt like making. You do recognize that fucking oven. Ugh. The Gamecock puck. I need a stick though.
I'm missing where you're coming from, Mark, on this. Grilled cheese on Monday? Grill on Tuesday? Does sound like we might be serving in my house. Whoa. That's big time.
Yeah. Yeah, Marcus, I want my restaurant. Yeah, that's basically what it'd be. But no, I would make I would have chili one night, I'd have jambalaya the next night, make just a bunch of sausages the next night. It's basically what I do in my life.
Uh-oh. Jen's getting her ear talked off.
Oh no.
Gumbo. I can say gumbo pretty good.
No, but he'll put Cajun things on the menu. You have to speak French.
It's what is it? Boo something. You know what I'm talking about? It's like a sausage or it's like
Boudin?
a bunch of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah,
You had that?
yeah.
Boudin?
Yeah, it's delicious.
It was pretty good.
Delicious. We've made it.
Oh yeah, y'all did make it. Maybe that's why I heard it first.
My dad's friend got a sausage stuffer thing for Christmas one year, and they were stuffing sausages with boudin.
Sausage buddy. Uh-oh, it's back.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
Every once in a while, it just does a one-off. I don't get it.
But you figured out which one it is?
I mean, they all do it now, but that was in my bedroom. Thing hasn't beeped in days.
Jen, everything all right on the phones there?
Oh, yeah. We were talking NASCAR. Talking about basically the setups, how the Fords are doing versus other manufacturers, Kevin Harvick. Yeah. Stuff that your eyes roll back in your head when I talk about.
I really thought we lost Patrick early.
What did DC? What'd you hear on an episode of Duck Dynasty? We need context. Sometimes it's really hard to piece out what the comments are talking about.
Yeah, agreed. Part of the
I know
fun.
having a test tomorrow, so I'm on an all liquid diet today. So this food talk has been fantastic this morning. I gotta tell you, it's been great.
I'm on an
Revenge will
all
be
chicken
sweet.
and rice diet, so
All right, you guys are up.
Telling you about Buford Lending a little earlier. They're going to sponsor a hole-in-one grand prize. Hole-in-one gets you $10,000 at our 14th anniversary golf tournament. Friday, August 27th out at Charwood, 10 a.m. Love to have you out there for the Captain's Choice event. You can sign up as a team or as an individual. We'll have breakfast and lunch, raise some money for Camp Cole, raffle off a pair of tickets at Gamecock home opener, and give away a trip to Kiowa for the winning team. Give Charwood a call at 803-755-2000 if you would like to sign up for that 14th anniversary golf tournament presented by Integrated Media, sponsored by Buford Lending, with trophies provided courtesy of the Trophy and Awards Center located in Sunset Boulevard in Lexington. The LA Rams, Raheem Morris, the defensive coordinator there, former Bucks coach, longtime Bucks coach, I want to say, and really well respected throughout the league, especially from the defensive side of the ball. Impressed with Gamecock rookie Ernest Jones, who was wearing the helmet with a green dot on the back of it. It means he's the one that's supposed to be able to hear the coach in his helmet and then call the plays accordingly. Problem was, in that exhibition game, Rams and Chargers, first 21 plays on defense, technical difficulties. The old technical difficulty struck, but it wasn't a problem for Ernest Jones, who just went ahead and called the plays himself. And Raheem Morris saying that was just absolute poise from a rookie, and really impressed to begin with. I think that helped get us on the conversation about Will Muschamp and talk about developing a guy who just got picked in the third round. Who I think we were all a little bit surprised that he's not playing his college football, his final year of college football this year, Patrick. And declared for the draft, clearly turned out to be a good decision. And now he's impressing coaches to begin with. So plenty of knowledge taught, plenty of development there. It's just not enough guys were on that same path in the Will Muschamp era, clearly. And it didn't work out from a team standpoint because the defense just hadn't been good enough the last few years. Even a defense with a guy like Ernest Jones in the middle last year and then J.C. Horn on the outside, taking 8th overall and first defensive player taken in the NFL draft at all. It's kind of mind-boggling, but it's also why that combined with $12 million in a buyout, that I got no problem with today's having some fun with Will Muschamp. Final few entries on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. Darren says Will Muschamp's daily specials would be the same thing every day. His restaurant would have an overabundance of ice. That's selling ice to Eskimos line. Scrap Release is what Monty says the name of it would be. The menu would be full of lies, and he'd work every position poorly. It says Nubside chicken fingers, signature dish. I like what you guys did this morning. I'm impressed.
This is a toxic show.
I had some fun. Patrick is just bitter because he doesn't know what three mascots he'll have to choose from in Washington. Patrick, I can pretty much guarantee you're not going to like any of them.
Just keep the football team. I don't even care.
Yeah, once you go football team, you can't go back.
Right.
Listening to the early game. Dan Patrick Show coming up next. Bill is up later this afternoon at 4.
And I
All right, guys.
I heard the
What was that,
conversation.
Jim?
I heard the conversation this morning that the Cubs and Reds will be the Field of Dreams
Yeah.
participants next year, and I'm thinking that should probably excite Cubs fans. But I mean, like, are we even going to have a team at that point? Like, besides the Bad News Bears, which is currently what we're putting on the field.
Send a bunch of prospects out to the cornfield and
Truly, I mean,
have a day.
pitiful.
Man, you guys are in just bad places this morning.
Very bad
Bad
places.
spots.
Yep,
At least we can make fun of Will Muschamp. DC, you
that's right.
did most of the entertaining. Nice work. We'll see you guys again in the morning.